everybody. Welcome back to Colavita Cooking Live. It is Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and if you've never joined us before, my name is Elena. I'm the Director of Marketing at Colavita USA, and we are bringing you cooking shows every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can find them on Facebook and on Instagram at Colavita USA. And that is what we are doing. We are actually making what you tell us to. So we have polls every week, and this week is Sweets Week, or desserts, or the Great New Jersey Baking Show, because that's where I am broadcasting from. Today we are making tiramisu, and admittedly, this is not a recipe where I'm going to utilize much olive oil, but it is instructional and we want to bring you what you want to know. So I'm going to go through the whole process with you and show you this version of it. There are many different versions and we'd love to hear about yours. But I'm going to go through the process for you so you can see how we do it. The recipe is posted in Facebook. It's also on our recipe library. If you search for classic tiramisu on our recipe library, you should find it at colavita.com. That's where you can find that. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna start. Now the first thing I'm actually gonna do is that I am going to make the lady fingers. I know, you can easily buy these. They come in a package, they're very easy. Feel free, but because this is a cooking show, I feel that I would be letting you down if I didn't make them. So I'm gonna do that. It's pretty easy to do, I hope. Okay, we have a couple of things. So I have 4 eggs, which I've separated, and I've kind of sped up the process here so that, this could take all day, and I know you have very important things to do, like making tiramisu. So I wanna cut to the chase. So I have 4 eggs that I've separated. I've combined the egg whites with a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and I whipped them up until soft peaks formed. If you can see this, they are so glossy and fluffy. They're so nice. So my egg whites are fluffed, soft peaks with 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. Then I took the yolks and I whipped them up with another cup. The yolks are whipped with another 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. So those are here. And when you whip egg yolks with sugar, what you're looking for is you want like a really nice light yellow color. And so that's what I've got here. It's a beautiful, glossy, like golden, light yellow color. It's like a pastel. So that's what I have. So 4 egg yolks, 4 egg whites, each of them whipped up with a 1/4 cup of sugar. And then I have 1/2 cup of flour. So this is our ladyfinger process. And this is what I'm going to show you. Okay. So it does take some time to whip these things up, and that's kind of why I wanted to do it ahead of time, so I'm not wasting yours. Okay, I have my big spatula and I'm gonna fold the egg whites into the egg yolks. So folding is a delicate process for those of you that know. I'm gonna take some of them because you literally fold them. And the reason that you do that is that you don't want to deflate the egg whites. You've taken all this time to whip them up. We have a question.
Is that a double boiler?
It sure is, and we are gonna get to that. We are gonna make our mascarpone cream in the double boiler. So I'm gonna keep folding these. Yeah, you don't want to deflate your egg whites that you have so lovingly fluffed up. I mean, look how fluffy those are. So I'm taking care to keep them as fluffy as possible. It's kind of hard because I just want to stir it, but stirring is not a good option here. Okay, and our last bit of egg white, put that in there and fold those up. Now, I haven't made tiramisu in a really long time. It's one of those desserts I think you see on every Italian restaurant in, at least around here. There's always a version of tiramisu, and I've had so many. But I really do enjoy it. And tiramisu, I'm sure many of you already know, but it isn't really a word in itself. I mean, we've come to know it as this wonderful dessert, but it means pick-me-up. And that's because we have some espresso and some cocoa powder and, of course, enough sugar to keep us awake for a long time. It's definitely a good pick-me-up. Okay, I have a half a cup of all-purpose flour, and I'm going to fold this in as well. Put that in there, and I'm going to delicately fold this in. I like to do this slowly. It's a very meditative process. I'm trying to not deflate my eggs and yet still incorporate all the flour into the mixture, which is, you know, really like no small feat. I have
What are you
to tell
making
you.
again?
I am making tiramisu. And this is the process where I'm making the lady fingers, which of course you can easily buy. However, we are being aggressive and making them. Okay, we are almost incorporated here. So I'm going to show this to you, hopefully, when I pour it out onto the baking sheet, because it is still pretty fluffy. See how I'm taking these big, long strokes with this giant spatula? This thing is huge, by the way. And there we go. Okay, that's it. I don't want to mess with it. I'm going to tilt it up for you to see. It's still fluffy. And I'm going to put it in the baking sheet. Let me get the baking sheet. Okay. This is a really fun dessert. This is the only cooking part, and if you bought the lady fingers, then you really wouldn't have to cook anything. But it's really nice. It sits in the fridge, and you can keep it for a couple of days. And I actually think that over time, it gets a little bit better because that espresso soaks into the lady fingers even more. So I'm going to take a little bit of my Colavita Premium Italian, and I'm just going to drizzle this on my parchment paper that I put onto this baking sheet, just to make sure nothing sticks. I feel like this is good insurance. Always take a little olive oil. Plus, I would not mind that flavor in this whole thing we've got going on. So, just got a little olive oil on that baking sheet. Questions?
Is there a trick to getting the egg whites stiff?
This is a great question.
Get runny?
Oh, so this is a great question. So I use my stand mixer to mix them. You could also use a handheld here, that kind of thing. And I think you really have to beat them at a high speed, personally. So you just keep going, and I stop the mixer and I test it. So I pull up the little paddles, the little beaters, and I see, like, okay, are my egg whites standing up? Are the peaks? Like, literally, when you pick it up like this, it forms little peaks. And if they fall over, if they just go smack down, you're not ready yet. If they stand up and they don't turn over at all, those are called stiff peaks. And if they fold over just a little bit, those are called soft peaks. So you should pay attention to your recipe. This one calls for soft peaks. And keep testing your egg whites and keep beating them. It actually takes quite a long time, longer than you probably think. And they look done, and they're actually not. So keep testing. Okay, we're gonna pour this batter. You have to turn down our heat over there. Oh, I think I need to mix a little bit more. Hang on. I see some unincorporated flour at the bottom, and we don't want that. So let me just put this down here. Okay, that should be good. Okay, I am gonna scoop this onto the baking sheet. It's Still looks pretty fluffy. Fingers crossed here, people. Ooh. Okay, so now we have like an egg puddle that I need to smooth out a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to take my spatula and smooth this out. This is going to puff up a bit, so I want to get it a little bit thinly. So I think what I'm going for here is about 1/2 inch, because it's, you know, it's really not about the cake in a tiramisu. It's about the layering of all the things. And since this is a sponge or a ladyfinger, you just want a little bit. Okay. You can also do a little tapping to get any air bubbles out. Okay. A little bit more. Okay, I think that is pretty good. We are gonna bake this. I'm gonna take this little bit off my fingers and add it in. Sorry, don't worry, you don't have to eat it. It's just for me. Okay, perfect. So now we have to put this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes. We're gonna do it for 12, come back. We have a lot of things to do while it's baking. I'm gonna give it to my husband and he is going to shuttle it over to the oven for me. We have a question before I do that? Okay, what is it?
Could you substitute biscotti for ladyfingers?
Oh, okay. So that's a great question. The question is, can you substitute biscotti for ladyfingers? And I think that the point of the ladyfingers is that they're very, very soft. The biscotti is going to be really, really crunchy. So it's going to be a completely different texture. I'm watching my time. I'm not sure that would work as well. What you could do is you could use an angel food cake. That wouldn't be a bad idea. You could try that instead. But biscotti might be a little too crunchy. But you know what would be fun is if you crushed up the biscotti and sprinkled them on top. I really like how that would be. So I like that idea. Give that a try. Okay, what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to wipe down my spatula. And we are going to set about making our cream. Now,
what about cream of tartar?
Oh, to stabilize the egg whites?
You have to repeat what I say.
Okay. Yes, I will get to that. Okay. So you could, the question is, could you use cream of tartar? Cream of tartar is usually used to stabilize egg whites. You could use a bit, but I've actually never used it myself in this particular recipe. I think because we've got so much else going on, I'm not sure you need it. But that is a very good and knowledgeable question. All right, let's get to our cream. So I've set up this double boiler, which from the size of it looks a little bit like overkill, but it's the only pot that's gonna work on this burner, so I had to do it. And I have, for our cream, I have 4 egg yolks, just the yolks, 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, and 1/3 cup of Marsala wine. And I'm gonna combine all these things and mix them in here until they're light and fluffy. And this is gonna take a little time and it's gonna be a little noisy because I'm gonna use my electric mixer for it, but I think it is worth it. Okay, so I'm gonna add my yolks. I'm gonna add my sugar in there and my Marsala. Okay, and now I'm gonna take this guy and get going. Now, I'm going to try to speak up over the mixer. Not all tiramisus require you to do this double boiler mixing. And I'm doing it here because some people like to actually have their egg yolks cooked. People get a little nervous about eating raw eggs. I get it. So in this way, because they're in the double boiler, you're slow cooking them, and you don't have to worry about any of that. Okay. Turning up the heat. Let's see. I'm going to consult my recipe for just a moment. Yes. Okay. So we're waiting for them to get really, really fluffy. So I really want to make sure that they're starting to foam up now, which is a good sign. Now when you use a double boiler, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. First of all, definitely want to use a heat-proof bowl. So you don't want anything that can melt, no plastic. This one's metal. You could also use a glass bowl. And for your water, you want to make sure that the level of the water is not actually touching the bottom of the bowl. You want it to warm it, but not be touching. Because if that water starts to boil and it's touching the bowl, what's in the actual bowl could burn, or in this case, scramble. We don't want that kind of situation. So it's a really good rule of thumb to have your water level lower than the bottom of your bowl, so it doesn't touch. Okay. So, any other questions from the team? Okay. All right, let's see. I'm going to talk through a few other things while this is mixing. I'm going to show you what else I have. Now, one of the stars of the show of tiramisu is the mascarpone cheese, which is just so delicious. I have 16 ounces of it in a bowl over there. And I will be adding that to this once it's all whipped up and delicious. And I also have a cup of whipped cream that I've already whipped up. Both of those things are going to go in here once this is all wonderfully light and fluffy, and it's going to be delicious. This is actually coming along. I don't know if you guys can see this here. Can you see that? Yeah? Okay, cool. It's getting there. This is why I wanted to have other things already whipped and ready to go, or you'd be standing here watching me use my stand mixer for ages. Okay. We have about 4 minutes to go on our cake. Okay. So I'm also going to show you a fun little way to serve up tiramisu. I was going to use a big trifle dish, which would be a glorious presentation. If you're having a big party, that would be really, really fun. But I'm not sure I'm going to have enough to fill it. So I'm going to show you how to plate it in these cute little old-timey champagne glasses. And of course our landscapers are here. Amazing. It's okay, it's loud enough inside as well. Okay, we are almost ready to go. I wish this thing went faster. Okay. Now, just because this recipe itself doesn't have any olive oil in it does not mean that olive oil isn't a fantastic ingredient in baking. And Thursday's recipe, I think we're going to be doing the banana bread. And I love the olive oil in that recipe. It's so delicious. Olive oil is a great ingredient to use in recipes that call for melted butter. And we're going to talk you through one of those recipes on Thursday. And in addition to that, our collaborator Jessie Sheehan is bringing you a new video tomorrow on our IGTV channel and on YouTube for olive oil triple chocolate chip cookies. And they look so good. So good. Okay, I think we are ready to go. This is such a beautiful caramel color. Enjoy the silence, everyone. Okay, I am going to turn off my heat, and I'm going to put this towel down over here, and I just want you guys to see this gorgeous color, ooh, which is this beautiful caramel color. It's so, so nice. So, amazing. Okay. I'm going to get rid of these guys. I'm going to put this over here. And now what I am going to do, just going to let this cool a tiny bit. And we have 2 minutes for our cake. So, in the meantime, I have mascarpone cheese. I have about 16 ounces of it. I probably have a little bit more, and this is going to get folded into there. So I'm going to take a healthy scoop of that, and I'm going to use 2 spatulas here. Okay. And I'm going to get this all mixed in. Now you could actually use the mixer for this, and I actually might do that because mascarpone cheese is a little bit thick, so it takes a lot to kind of mix it in to the egg yolk mixture, but you can easily do it. Okay, I might just finish it with the mixer just to show you how that goes. Keep that here. Okay, these guys go in there. All right, we are going to get the cake right now. Are you excited? I'm a little nervous, to be honest with you. Let's see how it looks. Okay. Now, personally, I think tiramisu is great any time of year. Yeah, this is the way to go. Okay, let's take a look at this cake. Woo, look at this. This is perfect. It's so fluffy. That's what a ladyfinger should be like. Okay, we're just gonna set this over here and let it cool while we finish our filling. Okay, so I'm making the tiramisu filling. I have my eggs that were all double boilered with a half a cup of sugar and some marsala wine. And okay, that was definitely worth it. You should do that. Whoops. It launched itself into the bowl. Okay. So now I have my mascarpone cheese and my egg mixture, and now there is one more glorious element of dairy that we are adding, which is our whipped cream. And I whipped this to soft peaks as well. So I'm gonna fold this in right now. Now, a couple of things you could do here is that after you've assembled all of this cream, by which I mean, you could chill the cream in the fridge for about 24 hours before you assemble these tiramisus. Now, personally, what I like to do is assemble it and then chill it for 24 hours. So that is what we're gonna do here. I think that one session of chilling is really enough. Okay, so I am folding this. You see how it's kind of streaking right now? I want it to be all a uniform color. I'm trying not to lick the bowl right now. We'll do that later. Okay, this is beautiful. Okay, ta-da! We're gonna put this to the side. Okay, now for some fun. Here are my lady fingers, and this is super cool. Look at this, it's just gonna come up off of that. Now ideally you would let this cool completely. Actually, what I think I should have and I don't have is a metal spatula. Any chance you would get me one, please? I love the days when I have some good help. Okay, right here I have a half a cup of brewed espresso. I did use instant espresso powder. You could use whatever you like, but I have about a half a cup. And what I'm gonna do is with my pastry brush, I'm gonna paint this onto my lady fingers. Okay. There we go. And you want that to soak in, so metal spatula, thank you. Awesome. Okay, so I have that, and then I have these fun little round cookie cutters. Now you can break these apart, you can cut them with a knife, you can do any kind of disassembly and reassembly that you like, but I thought since they were fitting into these cute little champagne glasses, I could use some cookie cutters to cut out the right shapes. So I have those. I also have cocoa powder and a pastry bag. So the fun part is really the assembly. Now, you don't have to use a pastry bag for assembling your tiramisu, but I feel like it's gonna let me get into the cup a little bit better without making a huge mess, which is what I wanna do. So, all right, so I fold this over my hand like so, and then I'm gonna scoop some of this mixture into here, kind of using my thumb to scrape it off the spatula. I love a pastry bag. They're so useful. You can make them yourself with parchment paper. I'm sure there's tons of tutorials on YouTube, but I have this one already, so I'm using it. Okay, I don't want to overfill, so I'll refill if I need to. Put that back. Okay. And then we just squeeze it down a bit, and I still have to cut off the edge here. Get down there. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to trim off the edge of the bag. It doesn't have to be a small hole because I kind of want a lot to come out at the, at once. So I've got about 3/4 of an inch there. Okay, let's try this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a small one, perfect, a medium, and a large. Okay. Let's see how many I can do here. Small. Oopsies. Medium. I think I'm going to get 4. It's just going to be very exciting. It's exactly what I want. 2, 3. Okay. Wrong way. And the reason I'm using 3 different sizes is just because obviously this champagne glass is smaller on the bottom than it is on the top. Okay, I'm gonna start with my smallest size. So this guy looks good right here. Look at how cute. I'm gonna put him into the bottom. Okay, you guys get a good view of this thing? I'm gonna put him right here so you can see a little bit better. Oh, I gotta press play again on our overhead. Okay. All right, then I'm gonna take my pastry bag and I'm gonna fill. See how easy that is and neat, by the way? Especially if you're not the neatest person in the kitchen, like myself. Pastry bags are really helpful. Okay, then I have my cocoa powder and I have this little sifter here. So I'm just gonna put that on top of the cream. And then I'm gonna get my next biggest circle. And we keep going. It's kind of like a lasagna, in a way. I'm going to press that down a little bit. Oh my gosh, it's really cute, is it not? Okay. Go around the edge. Kind of want to make sure it's all in the edge like this. And then again with our cocoa powder. And then our largest, which is right here. I'm going for a smooth edge. Okay. Ooh, and then finally, see, oh, that's really good. Yay. And then finally, the last. And that is it. Look at that glorious little thing. Now, after you assemble them all, you would put these in the refrigerator and refrigerate them overnight. So they're nice and cold by the time you get them. And honestly, this is so cute. You can make them even smaller if you have smaller little glasses. You can make them in little muffin cups. You could make them in a big lasagna tray and just scoop out like you would some lasagna. So there are all different ways to serve this. And I really like this way because then everybody gets a perfect little slice of tiramisu in a fancy little glass. And so that's what I wanted to show you. Let me show you the trifle dish before we go. But I don't think I would have had enough to fill this. So I decided against it, even though I stole it from my mom for this purpose. But, you know. All right, so let's see. I'm going to continue to fill. But do you guys have any other questions as I've been making this? Any questions that have popped up?
Is the cocoa powder unsweetened?
Yes, that is a great question. The cocoa powder is unsweetened. I'm using Dutch processed cocoa powder. So yes, I think you have a lot of sweetness happening in this recipe from the sugar that's in the ladyfingers and also in the cream. So I think a little bitterness from unsweetened cocoa is a really nice complement for this recipe. All right, that's a very good question. Anything else?
Your mom says lovely.
Lovely. Thanks, Mom. All right, so as I fill this, I'm just going to let you know, first of all, thank you for joining me. It is a pleasure to come to you every week. And on Thursday, we're going to be cooking banana bread. And I'm going to show you how we do that and give you some tips for baking with olive oil. It's a perfect recipe to demonstrate that. So I'm going to show you that. And then I guess, we have a poll coming up after that, after the banana bread. That's going to be really exciting. So again, we're here every Tuesday and every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Head over to colavita.com and drop us your email in exchange for our lovely newsletter where we hit you up with the review of what we've got. We'll send you the recipes so you know what's coming and you can cook along and just generally keep you updated. And if you haven't followed us on Instagram or liked our page on Facebook, please do. That's where we have all our polls. So your vote matters to us. And thank you again for joining us. I will see you guys on Thursday at 3. Ciao for now.